if I could be as dramatic as possible, that would be better. Can I have more drama and more drama and more drama?
So she's very dramatic.
Oh my gosh.
So, tell me a little bit about your growing up, Julie. What was it like in your household? Were your parents strict or not strict? You did say they ruled by the hand a little bit. And tell me a little bit about your childhood.
When we were growing up, we had chores to do. I don't think that I have as a set schedule of chores for my kids as my parents did for us. I'm hoping that I will learn, because I do think that's important to teach them that kind of thing.
Did you have chores as young as they are? Because they're 5 and 8.
Yeah.
Did you have chores as young as they are? Okay.
Yeah, we had chores very young. And then I do make my kids do things, but at the same aspect, not the same as I was growing up. And then other than that, it was pretty much, discipline was getting a spank. There was a little bit of talking, but mostly it was getting a spank and a talk afterwards saying how I love you and that's the reason why you got spanked and this is what you did wrong. And so it's just different than now.
Tell me a little bit about the girls' father. Is he living in Sioux Falls here, and do they see him on a regular basis?
Yes, they definitely do. It's not very often. Their dad lives in St. Paul, Minnesota. He is a trucker, and he sees his children every 3 weeks. 3 weeks he comes here and sees his kids, and then 3 weeks they go there and see him in his environment, and they get to see their extended family.
So when they go there and he comes here, do you do a half drive situation? Do you bring him there? Does he come here? How's that work out?
When he comes here, he comes all the way here and stays in a hotel. When they go there, sometimes we drive halfway and meet in Medelia or St. James, and sometimes I go up there and see some of my friends from Minneapolis because I did live there for a long period of time.
And then you're available to take them home and that sort of thing. And does that seem to be working for you guys?
It works.
Yeah.
It works. I think my children are getting to figure out who their dad is that way, and that's good. That's good.
Yeah. And how long have you been divorced?
We've been divorced for 3 years.
Okay, so Maddie is how old did you say?
5.
Okay.
She was barely 2.
Okay, so for her, do you think she remembers much of a time when you were married?
Not at all.
Not really, but Jill does.
Definitely.
Yeah. So do you think it was a little bit harder on Jill?
Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely. She always asks about why don't we live with our dad, and I think she's still processing that and doesn't exactly get it. But I'm just as very straightforward as I can be, and I always let her dad know what I've told her so that if he wants me to change it, that we can work together and make it as good for her as possible.
So you said that you're a single mom right now. Is he remarried or not?
No, he does a lot of dating.
Okay. How about you?
No, I don't have time for dating. I try. Don't worry. I'm trying to get back out there. But essentially, there's not a lot of time.
Yeah, it's hard when you have young children. Tell me about some of the primary stressors of being just a single parent. Do you have financial stresses? Is it discipline stresses? Is it basically time? What do you think is one of the most stressful things about being a mom in general or a single parent?
Well, I think ultimately the time stress affects everything else. Because if you feel like you don't have enough time, then you don't feel like you have enough time to work and you want more time off. And if you don't feel like you have enough time, then you don't have time to sit down and be calm with your children because you feel like you're rushed and hurried. And so time definitely is a huge stressor. But and financially, there's things that their dad and I need to work on that he needs to be a little bit more responsible for. It's really hard to make that decision to change the divorce agreement or to tell him he's not following it properly because you don't want to mess things up.
Right, especially if you have a fairly good relationship with him, it puts you between a rock and a hard place. I imagine. So, and I imagine you don't get a lot of time for yourself.
No, not much at all.
Yeah. So, how about religion? Are you guys religious at all? Do you practice a religion? Tell me a little bit about that.
I do believe religion's important in our life in general. In Minneapolis, Ryan's family was mostly Lutheran, so we practice Lutheran in Minneapolis because to me, church is family. I'm Christian. I believe in God. The rest of the bits and pieces aren't as necessarily as important to me. So I'm teaching my children to be Christian. And then while we're in Sioux Falls, our kids are practicing Catholic. And so that's because my parents are Catholic.
Yeah.
And then in the summer they go to Bible study that's Lutheran so that they can experience a little bit more Lutheran.
So it's important for you to just have them grow up in some type of a church? Really? Is that how you kind of feel about it? Okay. Tell me, what is your biggest joy of being a parent, Julie?
just some of the little things that they do. I mean, that they laugh and or say something just absolutely hilarious that throws you off. And yeah, it's just those little things.
If you don't mind, will you tell them that cute little story about going to the Chinese place? I think they'd like that.
Okay. When we went to the Chinese restaurant recently, the mat that says the Chinese years, that you're a rat or a boar or whatever it is.
It's like a paper mat.
All the girls wanted to take it home. And I said, you know what, we don't need all that extra stuff at our house. Let's just leave it here and let it go. Well, we get to Target afterwards, and Jillian pulls this little mat out of her pocket and goes, does this piss you off?
So she took it with her. That's hilarious.
My kid does not express like that very often. The younger one does, but the older one doesn't. So honestly, I kind of was upset that she said it were a swear word, but mostly it just made me proud and smile and a little happy inside that she expressed herself.
And it was just so clever and so, I mean, when something like that happens, you just can't help but bust out laughing.
You can't.
Yeah. And that makes you just happy. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, Julie, thank you for
Thank you
talking
very
with me
much.
today. All right. That's it.